ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So thank you very much, and oh Krishna, what do I do? Let me see if this works. Is this okay? Hare Krishna.
So we cannot see you.
Oh, you cannot see me?
No problem.
Okay. What do I do here? This is Zoom. Am I visible now?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
So sorry. So we are going to discuss on the 5th verse from the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And the 11th chapter of the Gita is entitled The Universal Form. Text number 5. So I'll just read the verse and its translation. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashya me partha rupani Shatashotha sahasrashah Nana vidhani divyani Nana varnani kritini Nana varna kritini cha. So Pashya me partha rupani Shatashotha sahasrashah Nana vidhani divyani Nana varna kritini cha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine and multicolored forms, or varied, divine and multicolored forms. The purport is small, so we'll read the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. So purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested. Similarly, the universal form of Krishna is manifested and non-manifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. As far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see the universal form, but because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give one the power to see it. So Srila Prabhupada makes a few points in the purport. So we'll just enumerate them. The first point that he enumerates is that a devotee is not very eager to see the universal form of the Lord. The second point he says is that Krishna has to give the power for one to see that form. It is not possible for an ordinary person to see that form. So these are two striking points that Srila Prabhupada makes. So very briefly, we'll just elaborate on these 2 points. The first point is that a devotee is not very eager to see the universal form of the Lord. What it means is that if necessary and if it is helpful for service, then a devotee would want to see the universal form of the Lord and serve it. And if it is if the devotee is completely engaged in serving the Supreme Lord in the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, then the devotee, due to the complete engagement in service, does not have time for anything else. So that's how there's no eagerness for any other objective than the service that the devotee is presently engaged in. So that is how we can understand the devotee not being so eager to see the universal form. Also, in another place where Prabhupada says that it takes a lot of efforts to be able to serve the universal form, and since a devotee is very eager to serve Krishna in various ways, hence the devotee finds so many other forms where it is maybe a little more practical and more easy for the devotee to serve the Lord. For example, the deity form of the Lord, or the Lord's form as his holy names, like that. Then the second point is that Krishna has to give us the power to see it. The reason being, Krishna is always pristine, always beyond the 3 modes of material nature. And Krishna has to give the power to see the universal form, means that one needs to be able to transcend the present modes of nature that one is in. Otherwise, one would not be able to see the universal form of the Lord. There are certain other forms where this may not be as difficult, like to see the universal form of the Lord based on our present material modes would be very, very difficult unless and until Krishna makes special arrangement. However, there are various other forms wherein Krishna appears to the devotee in ways such that one can use one's senses within the modes of material nature to relate to Krishna. For example, the deity form of the Lord. The Lord appears within the various elements of material existence, so that the devotee would be able to relate to the Lord. Then also the Lord appears in the form of the sound. As sound he appears as his holy names. And again, with our present material senses, we are able to relate to that form of the Lord. Then the Lord also appears in the form of another sound manifestation, which is the scriptures. And then we have the scriptures also in the written form. These are forms of the Lord within material nature, where the Lord manifests his potency within the various elements of material nature, so that we can use our present senses to relate to the Lord. However, for the universal form, one would need a different set of qualifications, and those qualifications are they are bestowed upon one, or they are given to one by the mercy of Krishna. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada makes a point that in order to see the universal form of the Lord, Krishna must give us the power to see it. Now we'll come to the verse itself. Pashyame Partha Rupani Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So before this, the Supreme Lord had been quiet for some time. Whenever we see this phrase Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, it means that once again the Lord has started speaking. So prior to this, maybe Arjuna was speaking, or someone else was speaking. Here, since it is a Bhagavad Gita, it is a conversation between Sri Arjuna and Sri Krishna. So prior to this, Arjuna had been speaking. And Krishna, he says, Pashyame Partha Rupani. Pashyame Partha. So Arjuna is saying, is telling Krishna that previously, in the previous verse, if you can go to verse number 4, you'll see that Arjuna is requesting Krishna that Maya Drashtum Ita Prabhu. Please, is it possible that you can reveal Maya Drashtum? If you can reveal XYZ. Here we know that it is if you can reveal the universal form. The reason Arjuna was asking that is because some verses back in a previous chapter, Krishna said that Ekamshena Sthito Jagat. By just a fragment of my splendor, I exist in this material world. So that really excited Arjuna. He's like, if this is just a fragment of Krishna's splendor, then I would really want to see the enormity of Krishna's splendor, or the whole of Krishna's splendor. So he got really very excited, and hence he asked Krishna on that question. So this is very interesting. And this can go two ways according to philosophical understandings, and according to directions given by so many commentators and previous acharyas. We can understand it in two ways. One, as soon as Arjuna realized that there was something more that could be understood in relationship to Krishna, he becomes very eager. So when Krishna says, Ekamshena Sthito Jagat, I exist in this material world, the entirety of all that is splendorous, of all that is magnificent in this material world, is simply a portion of my magnificence, simply a portion. So one point of view is that Arjuna is very excited because suddenly he realizes that there is so much more to be known, to be understood. When Arjuna was trying to relate to Krishna according to his own intelligence, which itself was quite vast. Arjuna's capacity, or Arjuna's understanding of knowledge was he was like the best, one of the best of those times. Like, he was really very good at understanding, philosophical understanding, and understanding of the material universe. So he was really very good at it. And with all of that, he was trying to absorb all that Krishna was telling him up till now. And then Krishna makes that point. So as soon as Krishna makes that point, that this is just a portion of my, or a fragment of my real opulence, Arjuna becomes very, very eager. And that is the nature of someone who's really trying to understand Krishna. That could be a devotee, it could be someone who's just in awe of Krishna. Generally, a devotee is also in very much awe and love with Krishna. So, someone who really wants to be deeply connected to Krishna becomes excited and becomes enthusiastic, seeing more and more opportunities. We can relate this to our own spiritual practices. Many a times we feel that things could be a little slow in our spiritual practices. Things could be going a little um, um, there could be some kind of boredom, uh, kind of, not really, we are not really bored, but there could be some kind of boredom, some level of boredom in our spiritual practices. What could be the reason for that? Generally, when we are less enthusiastic, or we find so many other things more attractive than our own spiritual practices and services, it means that somewhere the uh, the stimulus to know more about Krishna is not there, or it is on the back burner. It is slightly slow in our lives. That stimulus or that stimulant is not there. So that could be it could be something that we should uh, analyze. We should try and see if we can change our approach. If things are going slow, especially in our spiritual practices and services, it could indicate that maybe we have reached a point where we are no longer being very inquisitive about how to be connected with Krishna. Inquisitiveness can be external and internal. External inquisitiveness is where you look around you, or you connect with people and objects around you, and want to get more information than what you have. And internal inquisitiveness is where uh, you are trying to analyze things that you have experienced in life, and you're trying to see if there is you could polish it a little more, you could fine tune it a little more, what we sometimes call as introspection. Yes, so this kind of introspection, or this kind of analysis internally, is there a little can I have some more addition to my own internal accomplishments, to my own internal achievements? Is Can I fine tune it more? Can I garnish it a little more with some more understanding, some more analysis, uh, some more information, data, like that? So when we reach a point wherein a few days or a few weeks go by, where this inquisitiveness is kind of going south, it is kind of decreasing. That is when the enthusiasm or the eagerness in our own devotional practices seems to be a little stagnant. So, what do we do? We can try and follow in the footsteps of Arjun. Be very excited uh, when Krishna, in the form of opportunities, gives us a moment to be more inquisitive, to be more stimulated. So we should look for those opportunities when Krishna comes in the form of those opportunities. So that is one. Okay. Another thing that we can try and adopt from Arjun's character is that he is he finds the courage or he has the courage to go beyond what could be the maximum achievement that he has had up till now, up to the present moment. So he has the courage to do that. Most probably, that courage comes from the fact, the understanding that Krishna is unlimited. And therefore, if we find something more than where, let's suppose we have maximized all our understanding, then we should be open to the idea that since Krishna is unlimited, there could be something more beyond this, and we should find the courage to be able to accept that and to be open to it. It needs courage. Sometimes we may be afraid to do that, thinking that, if I look, if I don't keep myself closed, if I don't protect myself in this way, with having maximized all of my ability, my attempts, having maximized my attempts at spiritual evolution, then maybe I could be contaminated again. Maybe I could fall into illusion again. There are so many ways. Fear could be there, or there could be anxiety. So there are so many ways that the mind could, if the mind is still not completely free from the three modes, then the mind could trick us. So courage is important in this case. Rupa Goswami, he addresses this word courage by or he uses the word drida, utsayat, utsahat, nishayat, dhairyat or dhairya, dridavrata. These two words, dhairya and dridavrata. Dridavrata is used in the Bhagavad Gita. Rupa Goswami uses dhairya. Dhairya also needs courage. Dhairya means endeavoring with intelligence. There is patience. Utsahan, nishayat, dhairyat, tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagat, satovritte, shadbir bhakti prasiddhiti. Rupa Goswami explains that in the Upadeshamrita. So dhairya or dridata, determination. Endeavoring with determination, dhairya, I think Srila Prabhupada translates that in word for word meaning as endeavoring with intelligence and determination in the purport. So determination needs courage. So Arjuna had that, and we should also be able to access or be able to cultivate that kind of courage. So Arjuna is eager. So that is one point of view. The other point of view is that it is Krishna himself who reciprocates with a sincere living entity by giving the living entity some clues. And if the living entity is, if the spirit soul, if the spiritual practitioner is very sharp, if the spiritual practitioner is aware, is chetanshil, is conscious, then that living entity understands those clues. So when Krishna says ekam shena sthito jagat, so he's kind of giving some leads. And here we see how Krishna reciprocates with the endeavors made by the living entity. So that is another point of view. So there are two views here, how Arjuna is wanting to see the universal form of the Lord. Once in a discussion, a point was raised that Srila Prabhupada says that a devotee is not very eager to see the universal form of the Lord, then why did Arjuna want to do that? So we we went into this discussion up till now. First, what is it that keeps a devotee focused and does not uh, make the devotee uh, fall for distractions. So that is why Prabhupada says a devotee is not eager. Generally, a devotee is not very eager. So we discussed that. Then we also discussed that how only by Krishna's blessings we can have the ability to see the universal form. And then we see that how is it that Arjun was interested to see the universal form of the Lord. So Arjuna got excited when the Lord made that comment, and at the same time, the Lord is also giving leads. He is giving clues, and Arjun, being very sharp, he understands those clues. So he asks Krishna the question. Now, when he is or he inquires of Krishna, and how is his inquiry, in what mood? There are two words that are there in verse number 4, which are related to verse number 5. Those two words are, so the verse number 4 is, Manyase yadi tachakyam maya drashtum it prabhu yogeshwara tato me tvam darshayatmanam avyayam. So, maya drashtum iti prabho and yogeshwar. So he's addressing Krishna by two honorific words. One is Prabhu and the other is Yogeshwar. Yogeshwar basically means the master of the various superlative processes called as yoga, or the yogic processes. So someone who is the master of all mysticism, that is Yogeshwar. This shows that Arjun is being very humble or meek. The word is meek. He's being very meek because he realizes the enormity of what could happen, and that makes him very meek. That if the universal form gets displayed right now, this is going to be like a big life-changing moment. This is going to be something spectacular. So it kind of understands the enormity of what may happen, and whenever something very, very drastic could happen in our lives, we become a little meek. Sometimes there could be a little fear or anxiety too, but there is meekness. So Arjuna is meek. And this meekness of Arjuna is also revealed when he addresses Krishna as Prabhu. That, Supreme Master, or Prabhu also means that someone very great, someone very powerful. So when he does that, and Krishna sees and that Arjuna is a little in his meekness, Krishna sees Arjuna being overwhelmed, or the enormity of what could happen is pressing down on Arjuna so much that he is a little pensive. He is a little concerned. Arjuna's concern is there. So Krishna immediately wants to reassure him. And this is the nature of the Lord. Now, this is how the commentators they make the verses of the scriptures so very relatable, very relatable. Sometimes when these nuances, these minute details are revealed, people feel that there is so much sweetness. So there is so much of madhurata or sweetness. One's heart becomes overwhelmed. So seeing Arjuna a little, let's say, defensive, slightly concerned, being in a lot of awe right now, and meek, Krishna immediately, he says, Pashyame Partha. Look at me, Arjun. Just look at me. So this is kind of reassurance. When someone is feeling a little concerned, then one of the ways is that you ask them to look directly at you or look into your eyes. So Pashyame Partha. That is, this is Krishna's concern for Arjuna. This is his love for Arjuna. That Arjun, it's okay. Shant, Shant. Um, yeah, I know you're excited, and at the same time, you're also feeling a little, let's say, anxiety that what could happen now. It is not one of those moments where a child feels that ice cream is going to manifest from somewhere. It is one of those moments where a child or a young or an adult is like of wondering what is a surprise, and where is it going to, um, and how enormous is it going to be. So that kind of situation is here right now. It's like somebody is, there are a few contestants, and one of them is going to be declared a winner. Sometimes there are so many competitions, and one of them is going to be declared a winner, and each one of them has a chance. So when the declaration is about to be made, the moment before that, how they feel, they are like praying, some of them may be crying, shivering, there may be palpitations, heart rate must be increasing, hands and everything, their limbs, their um, hands and feet must be going cold. Why is that? Why would the participants feel like that when actually they're going to be a winner? One of them is going to be a winner. The enormity of the situation makes them kind of uh, uh, respond in that way. That is their response because of the enormity of the situation. So that is how Arjuna is feeling right now. So Krishna says, Pashyame. Pashyame, another commentator makes the point that Pashyame means, Arjuna, focus. Now you have asked me to show the universal form. You've asked me to show me all my vibhutis in one place. Before this, I had spoken of my vibhutis. I hadn't shown it to you, but now you want to see it, and you want to see all of them. So you have to be very focused, Arjuna. So one is to reassure Arjuna that, hey, Arjuna, look at me. I'm your cousin. I'm your Lord. You love me. I love you. So be a little pacified. And another another emotion that Krishna is trying to bring out of Arjuna is his attention. He wants him to be very attentive, very focused. So Pashyame, look at me. And then he says Partha. So we know that there are various ways that Arjuna is addressed. Sometimes Krishna addresses Arjuna as Dhanurdhar. Sometimes he addresses him as Arya. Occasionally he addresses him as Gudakesha. And there are moments where he addresses him as Partha. And many times when this is the address used by Krishna, many commentators point out that in those occasions, in a lot of those occasions where he is addressing Arjuna as Partha, it shows that Krishna is trying to make him comfortable based on the relationship that they share, the family relationship that they share. Because if you have very close family relationships with another person, then you feel as if they are an extension of yourself. Just as you feel very comfortable with your own body, you feel very comfortable with your own legs, your ears, your eyes. Similarly, you feel as comfortable with such a family member. You feel as if they are a part of yourself, or you feel as if they are an extension of yourself. So when Krishna says Partha, this word or this address, it makes Arjun feel Krishna as an extension of himself. And that love or that easiness, that comfort zone is back. So this is again wonderful that Krishna is able to do that. He is able to understand and is able to provide relief, or is able to be able to provide just what is needed. And because Krishna is the Lord within the heart, he knows uh, each and every emotion that we go through. And that is actually true, being the Lord within the heart, being the Paramatma. And then he says, Pashyame Partha, O Partha, Rupani. Rupani Satashah Atha Sahasrasah Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Kritinicha. So he says, Pashyame Partha. Pashyame, look at me, and Pashyame Partha Rupani. See what I reveal unto you, Arjuna. So that is also how it could be, how it is interpreted, how it is understood. And that is how Srila Prabhupada's translation interprets it. That, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now. So Pashyame. What do you have to see? Rupani, forms. Satasha, hundreds of forms. Atha Sahasrasha, thousands of forms. Hundreds upon thousands of forms. What are these forms? Nana Vidhani. They are of various types. They are not, every single form is unique. Divyani, these are not, Divyani means that each of these forms are superlative, each of these forms are complete, perfect. It also means that these are the forms that are not ordinarily visible. So Divyani. Sometimes in the English language they use a term celestial or transcendental also. In our books, Srila Prabhupada's books, we use the word transcendental or divine, and sometimes in the commentators they use the word as celestial. Basically what it means is that which is not accessible by the realm in which we normally live in. It is something that is beyond the realm in which we exist. That is called as Divyani. Then Nana Vidhani, Divyani, Nana Varna Kriti Nicha. Varna and Akriti. It has various Varna, various colors, and Akriti. Akriti means again different shapes. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that, hey Arjuna, look at this form. He doesn't say forms. He doesn't say look at these forms. He says that look at this form which consists of consists of so many other forms. Satasha Rupani Atha Sahasra Rupani. So Krishna is saying that look at me, and in the further verses I think so this will be more clear that all of these forms are within the form of Krishna. So actually there is one form, and that form reveals so many forms. For example, let us say that somebody is looking at us, or when we look at ourselves in the mirror, then we see one form, and within that form we see so many other forms, like we see fingers, we see forearms, we see the upper arm, we see the shoulders, we see the neck, we see the eyes, we see the ears, etc., etc., etc. What is interesting is within the form that we see of ourselves in the mirror, or what others see, are not Divyani. They are not complete and perfect independently. they are not beyond the realm in which we exist. So these forms are Divyani forms. The word therefore Divyani has been used. Otherwise, many times people, especially when we see paintings of the universal form, we are like, oh, yeah, in the universal form there is one head like Varaha, one head like Nrsimha, one head which has lots of earrings, etc., 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 etc. Those are some of the things that Vyasadeva has described. Vyasadeva, when he wrote down this conversation in the Mahabharata, so the 11th chapter he writes all of that. So that is there. And he says that these are all the things that Arjun saw. So that has been mentioned. So the point is, these Rupani, Satasha Atha Sahasrasha. Satasha Thos Sahasrasha, that is how it is there. So Satashos Sahasrasha. Hundreds upon thousands of forms. So they are Divyani and then Nana Vidhani. So some of these forms are fat, some of these forms are thin, some are short, some are tall, some are red, some are black, some are active forms, some are more passive forms. It means some are a little ugra. You can see them doing active activities. Some are very passive, shanta, like that. Some of them reveal lot of opulences, some of them do not reveal so many opulences. Each form, it is not just one body, like sometimes that is how it is depicted, right? Even in our, when we see our, some of the pictures that, paintings that are there, we see that there is only one trunk, one shoulder, two hands, and so many heads. That could be true. That is a painting, right? However, how it has been described here is that Nana Rupani. It does not simply say that it is different heads. It is said different forms. So there are unlimited forms. It is like there is different personalities right there. So some of those forms are looking very opulent, some are not as opulent. For example, there is one form that looks to be the form of a very rich king, and there is another form that is a form of a very austere Brahmana, like that, or a tapasvi, a renunciate. So this is the meaning of Rupani, Nana Vidhani. So many different types of forms. Nana Vidha or Bahuvidha. So many different kinds or types. Some of these forms appear to be involved with some very intelligent activity or speech. Some of them seem to be very quiet. Some of these forms appear to be very healthy, very muscular. Some of them seem to be very austere, very thin. Some of those forms, they seem to be uh, making a lot of sounds. They are very loud, and some of those forms are silent, quiet, or not speaking so much. Some of those forms seem to be awake. Some of those forms seem to be in transcendental sleep. Some of those forms appear to be very beautiful. Some of those forms appear to be very fearsome. Some of those forms are thus there are so many various grades. There are so many various distinctive marks. And this way, this is how Arjuna, Krishna was telling Arjuna to see all of this. See all of this, hundreds upon thousands of forms, each of these forms being divya, being superlative. Then Nana Varnani, so many colors. Some of those forms are blue, some are red, some are black. Some of them they reveal the orange texture of the sky during twilight, during dusk or dawn. Some are like yellow, like molten ghee. Some of those forms are uh, um, dark, like a black diamond. Some of those forms are blue, like the ocean or the sky. So, in this way, Nana Varnani, Nana Akriti, various shapes. Some of those forms are uh, whatever kind of shapes that we know, square, rectangular, or shapes like, um, let's say, vast like the ocean, or flowing like the river, like that. So various shapes. It's like something very psychedelic, you know. When you there are so many apps wherein various forms just morph. So Arjuna was being asked by Krishna to see all of this. So now the couple of things with which we'll conclude. I hope I have the time. Yes, I have. Maybe I'll go 5 or 10 minutes over. One is Krishna asked Arjuna to look at him, Pashchame. And then he says, Pashchame Partha Rupani, Nana Vidhani. So, um, so when he's asking Arjun to look at him, what does Arjuna was aware of Krishna right there. So did Krishna's have to create some magic? Many times people ask this question. So when the universal form was revealed, was Krishna still there? Or sometimes they think that Krishna and Arjuna are on the chariot and the universal form is like behind Krishna, like overshadowing Krishna. There are various ways that we try to understand or imagine this situation. Um, Let us see what are the perspectives are there. So when he says Pashyame, uh, Krishna is telling Arjun, Arjun, when you look at me with a certain perspective that you have developed, and you have fixated. You have created that perspective of me, and you're fixated in that. You're fixed on that. Uh, Now I'm going to reveal to you what uh, you do not see, even though it is there. So it is like all of this is always there for us to see, or for Arjun to see. But because of perspectives that we develop, or let us say narratives that is created, we do not see that. It's like someone exploring under a microscope. It's all there to the naked eye. However, maybe we need a microscope to see it. Or many a times, there are these puzzles that are there, and we are asked to look for how many different kinds of needles can you see in this puzzle. And then you really have to search. It's all right there in the picture. It's right there in front of our eyes. Our eyes are seeing it. However, eyes may see it, we may not see it. Because there are certain ways that we approach things in life, and those become our perspectives. Sorry, those become our perspectives in life, or those become the narratives that we accept in life. It's good to have perspectives in life. At the same time, we should realize that we have potential for much more. It's not that the perspectives that we have are useless. It's not like that. It's just that being satisfied with the perspectives that we have is like end of life. Because if there's nothing much more left than more to know or to understand, then it is the end. And that is not what Krishna consciousness is about. So there's the potential in each one of us to go beyond the perspectives that we have settled for. In other words, it means that always one has to be very, very curious to know more about Krishna. So here it is. Krishna says, look at me. And he is going to reveal all of those forms. All of those forms exist in this universe. Everything that Krishna is going to reveal exists in the universe somewhere or the other. We may not be able to see it in its completeness because of our own limitation. We can only see so much. The eyes only have so much of vision, range of vision. We cannot look beyond, let's say, 2 miles, 3 miles. After that, it becomes hazy, or it just is not visible because of obstructions. We cannot see beyond the tree lines, as we can say beyond the tree lines or beyond the horizon. We cannot see that. These are our limitations. However, whatever is going to be revealed is that which exists in this universe. Therefore, this form is called as universal form. Srila Prabhupada says that the universal form exists here in this material world. It is not to be seen in the spiritual world. It makes sense. It is the universal form, the Virat Rupa here. So now, when Krishna says Pashyame Partha, what he's trying to express, or how we can understand that, what could be helpful for us is that Krishna is trying to encourage us to see that how we are not able to connect everything in the universe to him. We think that he and the universe are separate. We think that everything that exists in the universe is separate from Krishna. This is Krishna's form, body, and everything is separate. And this is the reason for that is our own limitations. We just accept that kind of perspective of narrative, that this is Krishna. He has a human-like form, and outside of Krishna, then I can see the sun, the moon, I can see the oceans, I can see the trees, I can see various species of life, I can feel the air, I can feel the heat outside of Krishna. What we see as the external world is also part of Krishna. And this is not just a philosophical point, it is not just an intellectual point. Arjuna is going to see it directly with his eyes. That all of that is actually within Krishna. Which is, just think about it, it is so amazing. Due to our own inhibitions or lack of interest, even when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we may not be able to see that actually everything is contained within Krishna. We say everything is within Krishna. However, can we visualize it? Is that there in our imagination? So for that we need Krishna's special blessings. That is the Divya Chakshu. That is the special eyes that we need. It is not that this is going to be special effects that Arjuna is going to see. It is always there. It was right there in front of Arjuna's eyes. Krishna was the universal form, not different from Krishna. Krishna and the universal form always were there with Arjun since the time Arjun was conscious of Krishna's presence as his cousin, as his friend, as his mentor, as a Supreme Lord, always there. And Krishna as the universal form or as the universe was also understood. However, Krishna equal to the universal form, that was missing, or that is missing. When we say equal to, it does not mean that on one side there is Krishna or Krishna is the universal form. The universal form is Krishna. They are non-different. When we look at Krishna, we can see all the elements right there, and at the same time also see Krishna, which is so interesting. It is so amazing. To be able to have that kind of vision would be so glorious. So that is one perspective. Pashyame is like, Arjuna, this is always there. You right now are thinking that this is something more that I'm going to show you. It is like all the needles are there in that puzzle, but then you feel that, oh, the one who made the puzzle should reveal it to us. So when we feel that the puzzle maker should reveal that, that is because of our own lack of sight, our own limitations. And then when the puzzle maker says, look here, look here, look here, and then we see, oh yeah, all those needles are there in that puzzle. Similarly, Krishna as a puzzle maker is telling Arjuna, look, nana rupani, nana vidhani, nana akriti, nana varna. Look, Arjun, look here and here and here. And the puzzle is getting solved. Another thing, another couple of things in relationship to Pashyami is, what does it mean in practical sense for us? How do we understand this? That right there present in front of Arjuna and still not being able to see it. There are so many ways. Sometimes when there is conceit in the heart, when there is hatred in the heart, when there is jealousy in the heart, when there is pride in the heart, then you try to ignore people. They may be right there in front of you, but you don't see them. So that is one ways. That is one understanding of what prevents us from seeing everything as Krishna or everything is Krishna. These emotions. What else could be there? When we are not focused, you may be standing in front of someone and your mind could be somewhere else, and you may not be noticing them. That is also possible. So distraction is another reason why we are not able to do it. So when Krishna says Pashyami, or when Krishna is saying, or in the future Krishna will say that I will give you divine vision, what it means is that we have to have that element or that instrument of intelligence to be always focused. Intelligence which tells us that conceit, pride, jealousy, anger, hatred, they are non-essential. They are absolutely not needed. Not just they are harmful, they are non-essential. They should be non-existent in our lives. Especially, they are not really essential for our existence. In that terms, if there is a need to have any of these emotions to serve Krishna, then there could be some revelation about it. However, for our own existence, these are not essential. Therefore, they are called as anarthas. That which are not essential, that which are not for our benefit. So distraction is not for our benefit. It is there, and hence, although it is there, we are not able to see. Then, when are we not able to see? All the things are right there. For example, there are certain stars in the sky. When we look with the naked eyes, we'll not be able to see because we need a telescope to see them. So, again, the telescope of intelligence, of fine intelligence, from the scriptures, from discussion about the scriptures, from interaction with those who are well read and scriptural understandings or philosophical understandings, and those who have a lot of anubhuti, a lot of experience and realization. There, that gives us the telescope or the microscope. It gives us a scope, it gives us extra vision, it gives us a way to see things that we know are there, however, we are not able to see it. So, this is where some elements of sadhana bhakti, or let us say most of the elements of sadhana bhakti, are so very important. Like in good association, being very, very focused in increasing or in evolution. Many people come together, yeah, we are going to the temple or we are going to a program. However, they miss out on the point of evolving their consciousness. They miss out on becoming a better version of who they were before they came to the program or before they went to the temple today. Like I come to the program, I come to a temple or a satsang program, let's say at 11 a.m. And I'm there till 1 p.m., 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, it is possible I'm not a better version of who I was at 11 a.m. So I missed out on that opportunity. Or in fact, sometimes we can accept certain kind of contaminations, prajalpa, unnecessary gossip, unnecessary involvement in unnecessary activities, which could actually increase the coverings of ignorance. So, sadhana bhakti is where we are careful, where we carefully accept all the limbs or all the elements so as to evolve in our consciousness. So that is another perspective. There are things that we know are possible to visualize. However, we need scopes, we need instruments, or we need certain facilities to be able to see them. And finally, again, we come. All of this is related to very fine intelligence. That is why discussion, not just attending programs, not just attending lectures or discourses, but discussion. Discussion can go on with yourself, which is again, manan, or one tries to analyze that which we have heard, or it can go on externally. That is so very relevant. There are rare incidences of even let's say an abodh or someone that is not really qualified, that person getting mercy and evolving. It is possible, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave mercy to a little puppy, we know all of that. So those are rare instances, those are special cases. However, the general way or the easier way of how mercy manifests as spiritual evolution, where we become more spiritually advanced, is when there is discussion. Discussions are aided when there is attendance, and therefore attending of discourses is important, or attendance and lectures or such forums is important. There has to be discussion. When I say discussion here, what I mean is manan, or constant analysis which brings about transformation within ourselves. Day in and day out, we cannot relax. The day we relax, that means it is the end. Anytime we think that something is done, that is a very, very dangerous proposition. It is done means death. Death actually means everything is done. Life means there is more. Pashyame, we are again coming to that, is let me give this example. There is a gold uh, ore, let us say raw gold, and that is used to come up with so many different kinds of alankar or jewelry. Yeah, so many different kinds of jewelry. Now, these various forms were already there in the gold. It is not that the artist or the jeweler is creating those forms from out of a different place. That lump of gold, when molded in particular ways. So, what does molding mean? Molding simply means that, or when worked on in different ways, it simply means taking off that which is unnecessary or putting it in in places which is helpful. So the same lump of gold can come up with n number of jewels from that lump, and all of those forms are within that lump of gold. And a good artist or a good goldsmith knows what is unnecessary, and the goldsmith removes that which is unnecessary. So when that which is unnecessary is removed, the form is revealed. The form of the jewel is revealed, or the jewelry, the form of the jewelry is revealed. All right. Many times we have a misunderstanding that the form is created out of something else. So we have a lump of gold, but the form comes outside of the lump of gold. No, the form does not come. The form of the jewelry comes from the lump of gold, the initial lump of gold only. Who knows it? The goldsmith, the jewelry maker knows it. Do other people know it? No. The other people know that the jewelry maker can do something good out of it. Can you become a jewelry maker? Yes. If you practice, you can become a jewelry maker. So, what is it that a jewelry maker has that ordinary people don't have? The intelligence. The intelligence which gives the vision to see what is unnecessary and remove it. So, similarly, when we want to see something which is right there in front of us and we are not able to visualize it, then it is only possible when we develop the intelligence to see that. And how do we develop the intelligence? Through practice. Where do we get the practice from? That is where we need supervision, we need guidance. That is where the entire Acharya Parampara helps us. Sri Krishna Bhagavan, from whom the Acharya Parampara begins, helps us. That is where the entire forum of saintly personalities help us. And saintly personalities are not people just who are known to you. Saintly personalities, if we read the 11th canto and we see the 24 gurus, each of those guru is a saintly personality. The earth, the river, etc., etc., etc. So we need to develop the intelligence. So in conclusion, there are certain qualities that prevent us from seeing that which is right in front of our eyes. Those are non-essential qualities. They're not essential for our existence. Sometimes our own distraction is not helpful for us to see that which is right in front of our eyes. Therefore, we need to adopt the good practices of sadhana technique. That is what is sadhana, or sadhana bhakti, the limbs of sadhana bhakti. Then we know that there are objects that can be visualized. However, we would need extra facilities for that. So we should try to get that. And finally, we have to develop the intelligence to be able to see that which is there when the unnecessary parts are removed. So fine intelligence is very important. And this is what Krishna is wanting Arjuna to do when he says, Pashyame Partha Rupani, Pashyame Partha. Hey Arjun, look at me. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your in-depth talk about, the understanding of how Arjun's mind frame was in relation to Lord Krishna and what they were actually kind of diving deeper into the underlying meaning. There's a lot of things that you touched on specifically, and you mentioned how the acharyas make things relatable, and then towards the end you said this is a more practical way for us to understand. And one of the things that I thought about during the talk was that Lord Chaitanya mentioned a way for us to always remember, because part of the reason you mentioned we're not able to see is because we have these anartha, these things blocking us. But if we wear that Chaito Darpana Marjanam always around our neck as a necklace, it helps us to remember to be more humble than a blade of grass, and more tolerant than a tree. And so we should always keep those things in mind, and that will help us to remember to see things more clearly. So thank you very much for sharing that. I just wanted to make that comment. All right, cool.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Are there any, is there any feedback, any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Radharanda.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for a very wonderful class, Prabhuji. I do have one question, and you gave so many different explanations of the word, Pashyanti. So my question was that, when Arjuna was in a war situation or some sort of anxiety-provoking situation, and Krishna asked him directly for Pashyanti, and Krishna is telling him, like, look at me, and he can see Krishna, and he became a little bit calm, or he got his question answer satisfied. So similarly, like when we are in our life situations, like when we are in trouble situation or some anxiety-proven situations, and we are looking for help, and besides our faith, it depends on like the level of faith that we have. We are sometimes not able to directly visualize Krishna. We can go to our devotee association or Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, but this physically seeing someone or like an audio visual of some person has a deep effect or immediate sense, immediate relief effect of that anxiety, I should say. So how should we tackle those situations when we are not able to physically see Krishna, or I know we all have a deep faith in Krishna, and but sometimes having that direct personal association, like you said, that's more gratifying for somebody who is in trouble or who is looking for help.
Thank you for asking the question. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 7th canto, the Prahlad and Nrsingadeva Prasanga, the appearance of Lord Nrsingadeva. In one of the verses, Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Kaumara Acharit Pragyo, Dharman Bhagavatani. Right from a very early age, one must learn these practices. And this is in relationship to the ninefold processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, beginning with hearing and chanting. In relationship to Prahlad Maharaj's instruction, that particular instruction, it is said that when we spend a lot of time learning that which could be helpful uh, in our future lives. We are not sure how our future life is going to be, but we spend a lot of time learning, especially uh, when there is facility to be good learners. As a child, you have a lot of facility to learn. So when we have that, that becomes our habit, it becomes our character, it becomes our, it shines through our personality. It is how we respond to situations in life. So this is very helpful. And most of us, as adults, we realize that this is what would be beneficial to the children in our society. Not just a Krishna conscious society, but society in general. To be able to equip them with tools that would help them have very, let us say, wholesome approach to situations in adult life. Such training, typically such training helps you to be able to shoulder responsibility, to be humble enough to accept knowledge whenever you have. This I'm speaking about adult life. When you're an adult, this training helps you be very responsible, shoulder responsibility, and it also keeps you humble enough to improve on the experiences that you've had, or improve on the knowledge base that you have, to accept more knowledge filtered through your intelligence. Such adults in society are always very sturdy people. You know, such a society of sturdy beings is very essential for the for goodness to prevail on this planet, in this universe. If adults are always going to be, or if adults are going to have confusion, and they are going to feel incapacitated, which are all which are negative emotions, typically, generally. There may be a few rare exceptions where they are not negative emotions, but they are typical negative emotions. That creates it creates cracks or weaknesses in human society. Such a society would not be able to shoulder its such a human society would not be able to shoulder its responsibility towards the creation, towards other species of life too. So it's very important that we learn to be confident. There has to be this confidence that what we have understood, what we have received in our lives is very helpful. We should be grateful that we have received that, and we should be convinced that it is very helpful for addressing the situations and problems in life. There could be better ways of doing it, for which we should be open to more learning and understanding. However, whatever we have received, if we have done it, if we have received it and we have absorbed it with a lot of integrity, it is very helpful for us to carry forward our responsibilities. So this is very important for an adult society to be in this kind of mood. And if there is some negativity, one does feel a little helpless or very helpless. then we go back to the drawing board and we try to again be good learners. Spend time doing that. Take out time if we feel that it is very essential for us to be um, grateful and confident adults. Then we should spend a lot of time with that training process again. That is how Prahlad Maharaj describes Kaumara Acharit Pragyo. This is one of the reflections on what Prahlad Maharaj instructs us on. Life is always going to bring in changes. That which is new after some time would be old and gone. And we may be able to see this transformation right in front of our eyes. So we have an option. Should we lament and should we be fearful when we see the end of things? Or should we be lamenting that the association that was there is no longer there? However, be grateful for that which we have received during that lifetime from its existence as a new element to its end. So we have that option in front of us, and it would be helpful to choose that which keeps the mind always enthusiastic, always hopeful, and a mind that expresses gratitude based on the confidence that what we are today is because of the efforts of so many wonderful teachings and so many wonderful beings in our life in the past. And we owe it to all of them as adults. We owe it to all of their hard work and all of their sacrifices that we do good, as much good as we can in our present situation. And then the Supreme Lord is always there in the form of the holy names. So if we constantly chant the holy names, that gives us, with faith, it gives us the ability to dispel these clouds of lamentation, unnecessary lamentation. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your such a wonderful time and wonderful deep thought process. Really appreciate time, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Chinmay Prabhu, you do nursing very quickly, then get the program.